Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 23rd reading event in the Nightlight Poetry Series, which I'm very excited to say is also the launch for A Letter from the Mountain and Other Poems. My name is Tom Snarsky. I'm delighted to be here with you this evening, as always, but I'd also like to start things off a little differently than usual by handing the mic over to Beth Gordon, one of the fearless editors at Animal Heart Press.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, everybody. Yeah, thanks for everybody joining us tonight. We're going to be celebrating Tom and the launch of his beautiful book, A Letter from the Mountain and Other Poems. Those of you who know Tom know what a generous spirit he is. And so when we were talking about his launch and Zoom launch, he offered to make it part of his Nightlight um, reading series, and he also wanted to invite our other 2025 authors to join us. So this year at Animal Heart Press, we are publishing 3 books. We started with Lauren Parker with Dark Way Down, and then today we're launching Tom's book, and then later in the year we will be releasing Zoe Mitchell's Untold Fortunes. So also Tom asked the editors at Animal Heart Press to read with him tonight, which is such a treat. And then also invited our friend C.T. Salazar, whose chapbook we published at Animal Heart Press in 2020. So tonight really feels like a family reunion to me. And it's something that I don't know about you all, but I kind of look around the world right now, and floods and famines and fires and Nazis, and it's not great out there. But then we all come together at an event like this, and it feeds my soul, gives me hope. So I am really thankful that you all are here, and I'm going to turn the mic back over to Tom, who'll take it from here.
Thank you so much, Beth. I couldn't agree more that it feels like a family reunion, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that the editors agreed to read. Gentle nudge. And it's always exciting to get to not only work with you all in your great capacity as editors, but also to hear your own work because you're all artists in your own rights, and then to be pressmates with these folks is just a real gift. So I'm so glad to be introducing our very first reader as a quick segue in Lauren Parker. And so as I alt tab into my handy dandy fancy bio document thing, which has eluded me a bit here. There we go. Lauren Parker is a writer, poet, visual artist, and overall problem who is based in California. Her witchcraft book Spells for Success came out with Simon & Schuster in 2025, and her full-length collection of genderqueer science fiction poems about David Bowie was published with Animal Heart Press. You just saw Beth holding it a moment ago. She publishes a lot, and you can find most of it on her website, which is laureneparker.com. And you can hear some of it right now. Lauren, thank you so much for being here. Glad to be your pressmate.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. Congratulations on your book. Yeah, so earlier this year, as mentioned before, Dark Way Down came out with Animal Heart Press, which is, I want to thank you all for publishing it. It's a weird little book of speculative queer poems about David Bowie, and I knew that was going to be a little niche, but Animal Heart really invested in it, and I appreciated it. And so I'm going to start with No Semis Under Canopy. I take a job at a bar on the Arizona border. Car broke down and I broke down, got sick of marking the miles and taking the long way, just for a month, maybe 2. Easy enough to grease my hair and button up my vest at the old man's bar, and that's the best kind they make, where I remind them all of someone they knew long ago, which means they never really knew her at all. The Stardust Lounge is a sad sight, a beautiful ruin, everything in it sagging and greased like the smile of someone who's lived a long time and lost everything on a gamble. My baby works at the chicken restaurant across the street, and when our shifts end, even though our feet hurt, we dance under the one stoplight, me cast in red, her in green. There's a poster in the window of the theater where they've written a musical of the man who fell to earth, coming soon, faded into the white border. The Duke's face the same as mine, the points of our hats align. He is longer and thinner, shadow man. I am coming soon, weaving my way through towns and stretches of bewitched landscape. I'm not good at sitting still. I fill cups, pick at cuticles, put ache in my heart, placing something inside, stones on stones, damming up, damned myself in, damn. I have to remember how to feel. Practice sadness, look in the mirror, and work the muscles in my face to show anything. I'm as numb as I started. The truckers know us now and don't even honk when we kiss over the bar. Your eyes are still bright when they see me. Did you always live like this? She asks me as I count my cut, enough to finally fix the roof, half of what we need for the brakes, and I cannot remember a time before now, as I pass cash from one hand to the other, pass pills from one hand to my mouth, and I try to remember some before time, wet with joy. So, I didn't know how to write about David Bowie without writing also about Iggy Pop. And so I'm gonna this one's for Iggy Pop. It's called Save Me, Saint Iggy. Bless me, Saint Iggy, I repent of my sins against you and rock and roll. Make me an instrument of your chaos. Where there is mediocrity, let me sow love. Where there is complacency, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, rage. Where there is darkness, darkness still. Where there is folly, wisdom. O divine disaster, grant that I may not so much seek as to be consoled as to console, not so much to find danger as to be dangerous. Not so much to be loved as to love, for it is in taking that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are foolish, and it is in diking that we awake to eternal life. O great goddess of the gas station tree line, emerging from sigil and storm, called with wunyo and algaes and spit and want, you have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess, and still I do not know you. And I will throw the bones still inside you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Every spell I ever cast was about a girl. With a want so solid, stony, I could call a woman to me with a stick and a palm full of dirt. Teach me to seek divinity, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you, and let me love you where I find you. This is a love poem. Mojave. The desert and the sky have the same effect. You can't judge the distance. You can reach out and touch everything. You reach out to collect every star, and I fill your pockets with change and say, stars don't exchange like they used to. You tell me that you can tell the difference between the mountains and hills with one special trick. If you see the top, it's not a mountain. And even if I didn't have a spaceship to catch or a man waiting on me in the wild of the mesa, I would consider it worth it to ride off in the lush and crowded desert with you. I've got two more for you tonight. Let's see. The last one from this book is called Eulogy for the Milky Way. We buried the Milky Way in red dirt and saliva. It died in shifts, whole stars falling damp at our feet like porch lights going out after midnight, until all that was left was a dark seam of purples and navies in the sky. The small ones were delicate like leaves settling on the ground, but the larger ones left welts in the dirt. Everyone thinks the desert is sand, like it will sift through your hands cleanly, but the American West is dirt and clay and brush, and stars are buried beneath it. I know, I left them there. I folded them up in my shirt and carried them until my arms gave out, dug until my thumbnail came off, spat the last of the water within me. The only home I've ever had, a sudsing froth of light cresting the sky, is gone, gone, gone. So I want to thank you again, Tom, for having me. It's really great to be pressmates with you, and I'm so excited to hear you read tonight. So I've been thinking a lot in the greater scheme of the about women and queer people and how unsafe we are. And I'm gonna end tonight with a poem that means a lot to me, and it's called Ask About the Women in Your Family. My grandmother couldn't cook, so we wrote her out of the stories. Every holiday, every birthday, every day she spent preparing, we forgot her name. When we could remember it, it rolled foreign on our tongues and lips like boats too small for choppy swells. The family rings around the table, chair legs grinding on linoleum, photo albums open, blooming like the flowers in her garden that we never notice. They spring up every year, untended, struggling through the weeds. We recognize our smiles, our noses, the shape of our eyes. We flip through photos, but no one sees the person behind the camera. No one mentions her nose, the shape of her eyes. The one who organized and labeled the album's script as tight and drawn as a mouth in concentration as you stir a quickly burning sauce. Her death is the equator and a visible line declaring the loosely navigational space where the family stores our myths, the stars that predict who we are. We use trinkets of navigation, books of genealogy, stories of war generals, sailing, settlement. We shout over her voice. She fades into the couch cover, a transparent plastic thing protecting the fabric underneath. We never forgive her for dying. We never forgive her for not being able to make a meatloaf or a pie or a casserole. Thanks so much.
What a beautiful way to start this evening off. That was Lauren Parker. Thank you, Lauren, for being here, and thank you for those incredible poems. You can find Lauren, again, Lauren's website is laureneparker.com. You can also find Lauren on Instagram at Fuck Yeah Lauren Parker, and on Blue Sky at just regular old Lauren Parker, and on Threads at Fuck Yeah Lauren Parker. So get back in that, remember where the fuck yeahs go. Also, you can sign up for Lauren's email newsletter called Do You Want to Do Some Witchcraft? And Lauren also has an upcoming workshop with the Poetry Society of New York. So keep an ear to the ground for that and check out Lauren's amazing book that you just heard some great stuff from. Yeah, and like CT just said in the chat, I do want to do some witchcraft. And I feel like it's a very good segue to introduce our next reader, who is also one of our delightful editors at Animal Heart Press, in Amanda McLeod. Amanda McLeod is a creative based in Canberra, Australia. Her works explore her daydreams, the things she ponders, and the things that keep her up at night. The second edition of her flash fiction collection, Animal Behavior, is now available in print, ebook, and audiobook wherever you get your books. She loathes noise and loves being outside. But we're glad you're inside to join us tonight, Amanda. Thank you for being here, and I'm so excited to hear you read.
Thanks, Tom. It's so lovely of you to invite me, and congratulations on A Letter from the Mountain. It's a beautiful book, and I had so much fun making. I actually had so much fun making all the books this year. You guys basically just gave me carte blanche to do whatever I liked, and it was great. It worked out really well. So I had a plan, and then you decided that you wanted some new shit. So I threw the plan out the window. And I'm now going to read to you a completely unedited thing that I blurred out in my journal yesterday. I basically decided in my reading today that in light of all this, I was going to read hopeful, positive poetry because we need that right now. So I'm starting off with a few of mine, and I'm actually going to finish on a poem from another poet that was part of a project here in good old Canberra in a couple of years ago, in which poets were asked to envision a hopeful, positive future. And this is a poem I go back to all the time whenever the world just feels a bit much. So I'm going to end on that because it always makes me cry, and it might make you guys cry too. So I'm going to be mean. So I'll start in my journal. Surprise. I sat down to write this poem, and the words wouldn't come. I have no language for the empty wells, streets, schools, souls. Why do we cling to othering? We've seen what fear can do. Hatred is no more powerful than curiosity. We can drown out its insidious whispers with our glad shouts. Make unity the salvation of us all. there's some new shit for you. The next one I'm going to read was published, and I can't remember where anymore. I think possibly Doghouse Magazine. I should have written it down, but that would mean remembering things, and I don't do that. So this is called Why I Bother. The sun hung high and hot today, bleaching azure from the sky and leaving trees of faded sage. I knelt beside the pond I keep for the dogs to seek relief on hot summer days and found not one but 7 ladybugs struggling in the water. I took leaves from the ground, one for each, and scooped them up, leaving them in shaded safety. I watched as each froze and then revived, small legs stretching, twitching. Then red wing cases gently realigned. As I retrieved them from the water, I wondered briefly what brought me to this moment with my knees in dust, fetching tiny insects from their certain death. And that question was answered by another. If not me, then who? And the next one I will read is called, this was published in the Sour Collective. I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with trees, and this is a poem about trees and how magic they can be. It's called Forest School. Reach out to each other. Extend an olive branch, cypress, ash, or oak. Connect. Send threads and fibers through the soil. Weave an intricate web. Become such a part of each other that one's end and another's beginning are blurred. Send a message. Send warnings. Send hope. Send love. Hold each other. When one falters, support them with light, with oxygen, with water, with the rich green of existence. Share what you have. There is always enough. The scales always balance in the end. Be a sign, be a waypoint. Lend direction forwards by staying right where you are. When you fall, as all do, give back of yourself that you will live forever. Trust others to steward your legacy. Honor your dead. Care for your living. Safeguard your future. I love that poem because those are actually all things that trees do in forests, which is just incredible. Nature is lit. And I will finish with this amazing poem by Tom Cantwell, which always makes me really happy. It's called Trickling, and I will probably cry at the end, and I'll try really hard not to. Close your eyes. When you open them, the world will be different. This is always true. Whether you blink or turn in for the night or fall into a years-long hospital drama-style coma, even the things that are the same are different. Your hair is a fraction longer. Your children are taller, older, more independent. People are alive who had yet to be born. People are dead who had been alive when you closed your eyes. The world is changing, always. Time turns seeds into shoots, into saplings, into old oaks, into firewood. People turn ideas into books, into new ways of living and helping each other, and suddenly, slowly, malaria deaths are down 65% in 9 years. 1.2 million in 2010, 409,000 in 219. We are making progress. It is not always the progress we want. There are more refugees now than there were 10 years ago. There is greater trans safety in some places and less in others. We are making greater progress to protect the earth. When my grandfather closed his eyes for the last time, 9 years ago, I couldn't get married. Everything that led to that changing was awful and shouldn't have happened. But I can now. No one can predict the future, but the arc of history trends towards progress. Safety, science, health, art, acceptance, kindness. Whether your eyes are closed or open, the world will change anyway. Keep your eyes wide open and watch it all change. Be part of its story. Help the changes be good ones. And when you need to, close your eyes and let yourself rest. We will be okay. You will be okay. Sorry, gets me every time. That's it from me. Thank you for having me, Tom, and congratulations to everyone at AHP on these amazing books we're doing this year. I'm so excited to be part of it. Thank you for letting me have your manuscripts and play with them and make them beautiful.
Thank you right back, Amanda, for everything you do for Animal Heart authors and the poetry universe alike. It's an honor to work with you and to be part of this thing. And I so appreciated the work that you shared. That again was Amanda McLeod, who you can find on the socials at Amanda M. Writes, Amanda M. Writes, all over all the different social media platforms. And Amanda, in consummate AHP support fashion, I always ask folks when they fill in the little form for the bios, it's like, what do you want to shout out? And Amanda wanted to shout out Feral, which is the most beautiful journal of poetry and art, which you can find at feralpoetry.net. Amanda gets to match poetic creations and visual ones there and does so to tremendous effect. So thank you, Amanda. The new issue is fire, as Lauren just said in the chat. Absolutely marvelous work all around. Yeah, what a beautiful time to be doing poetry things with this incredible group of people. And I'm so excited to keep the ball rolling by introducing another fantastic editor at Animal Heart Press in Jude Marr. Jude Marr is a pushcart-nominated trans poet and an editor with Animal Heart Press. His poetry has appeared in many journals and anthologies, and his next book, Silence Will Not Save Us, should see daylight in 2027. He now lives in Coimbra, Portugal, where I believe it's getting close to 2:30 in the morning. But Jude, thank you so much for being here and reading with us, being the night owl. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, I'm definitely a night owl, so please don't feel bad for me. Many, many congratulations. I was completely blown away by your manuscript when I first read it. And if anything, I just love it even more now. So I'm delighted to be here, and I'm going to read a few things. Now, anyone who knows my work knows I'm constitutionally incapable of being cheerful and hopeful. So I'm going to take us to the dark side a little bit, but it does get at least marginally better toward the end of these, so bear with me. And this is all new stuff. I had already decided to read some new stuff. To be on the hopeful side, I'm going to begin, though, with just one line from a poem by Andrea Gibson, who many of you, if not all of you, probably know, passed this week. And I am delighted to say that I actually got to see them performing twice and was also completely blown away. And if you don't know their work, then definitely go read some Andrea Gibson. So the one line that I'm going to read is from a poem called How the Worst Day of My Life Became the Best. And the line is, if I can find it, I just had it a second ago. The line is, I, like the trees, will decide what I become. Okay. Some poems. I'm going to begin with a poem that has an epigraph. I never have epigraphs, and this one may not remain, but the poem is called The Pale Blue Dot Revisited. Many of you are old enough to remember the significance of the pale blue dot and those photographs from outer space, from Voyager 1, that show the Earth as this tiny little dot. And perhaps you also know Carl Sagan and his work, and he described the pale blue dot, of course, as the only home we've ever known. In the universe of fallout from the biggest bang, a blue dot, final period in faded ink, waits for a sentence. We are pretentious dust, destruction in our genes. We use our words, but words are not enough, it seems, to save us from our dusty selves. We are drops in fading ocean, grief dispersed. As our words dissolve, only curses remain. I have a few new poems that are come under the general heading of ... in the age of dictators. And this one is Love in the Age of Dictators. On battlefields, where sex and death coexist in amongst the mud and shit, in foxholes where atheists don't believe the credulous pucker up, their body armor buffed to kiss the ass of peace, in bombed-out homes where the heart is smeared across a ragged purple wall, in basement shelters, rat-tat-tatting with the bone of fear, or anywhere the siren's screech can reach a climax of destruction overheard, a hook and chain, blood fetish red on red, when the safe words, not a ceasefire or a guarantee, reach for me as an ant reaches for a crumb. And this is Ghosts in the Age of Dictators. Every chair, every wall, every prison cell imprinted with past lives. And when I turn my head away, not daring to know, I see shadows silent scream. I feel shadows exhale as history. And so I fade, my documents etched on my retinas, my family tree seared into my genes. I am a body as witness. As I swim through drowned cities, wraith smoke catches at my throat. The forest is burning as self-preservation. Crushed in place, I summon unknowing as hope. Narcissus in the Age of Dictators. Thinking I can't live in my own image, thinking I remember insignificance. I invent, God for God, a headless deity who absorbs me, never believing. Every day I think I am God, in my coffee, in my closet, in my underwear. If I can move to be under empty sky, move to a place of sliding water, will I still live with the grave images I see in secret pools? Most of the universe is darkness. On desert farmland, an empty nest, the tree make-believe, the falling egg. But at the horizon, more sea than grass, a meadow, where winter's body also shifts under one sun's scalpel. As cold-scarred lungs heavy up to take the day's first breath, a ragged fence, collapsed, rises up again as tree. Spring in the Age of Dictators. Plants surge beneath a network of birds. In case you can't tell, this is where it gets marginally better. The secret life of trees. If a tree falls in the forest, crashing through branches to land on a thick blanket of the predeceased, sodden bodies of every leaf, every needle, every bud, now rotted down into the richest mulch. If the tree lands with a thud, a slight rebound, then comes to rest, its branches meshed with neighbor trees, its roots exposed, naked and torn, do the other trees mourn? Do the fallen have time to send a last report, or turn their leaves toward the sun again before the end of perpendicularity. When communication stops, a signal lost, a line gone dead, root wires unearthed and abruptly silent, is the forest forewarned. When a tree settles, gouged and broken into the record of its past, old sounds re-emerge, windsong and scuttering, and the tree, bark pressed against the living earth, hears everything the forest knows. Okay, this is the last one, and it's quite short. What is rooted will endure. The oldest living thing on earth may be a patch of seagrass growing in the great green, the sea we know as Mediterranean. Long before people, long before we gave names to bodies of water, oceans of seagrass danced with tides or slept under ice, salt and bright. This seagrass has known empires in the keels of ships, bodies drifting downward, lost in silt. This seagrass, salt and bright, does not know fear. That's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely marvelous, Jude. Thank you so much for those poems. I keep hearing the whisper in this seagrass, and it's just sublime. And that was Jude Marr, who you just heard amazing, amazing work from. You can find Jude on Blue Sky at Jude Marr. JUDEMARR.bsky.social, and on Instagram and Threads at jude.mar. And you can also keep up with Jude's work at judemar.com, which I hope you'll consider doing so that when this new shit finds an incredible and beautiful home, we will get to hear and see it anew. That was divine. Thank you so much, Jude. And I am so excited to be at this point because we are at, 7 readers is like kind of an all-timer number, I think, for Nightlight. So this is like kind of an amazing lineup, not only in terms of the quality of the people who you are hearing work from, but also the quantity of people you are hearing work from. And so in 7 readers, the fourth reader is the keystone. They're like right at the top, in the arch of the trajectory of the thing, non-hierarchically speaking, just, holding it all together. And I couldn't imagine a better person to be in that position than C.T. Salazar, who is a poet and librarian from Mississippi. C.T.'s debut collection, Headless John the Baptist Hitchhiking, is available from Acre Books. And I'm so, so, so glad you could be here, C.T., to read at this. So happy to hear you, and take it away.
Thanks, Tom. Happy to be here. Congratulations on your 3rd poetry collection. Every Tom Snarsky poetry book just opens up a new world for me. So of course it's a great book. So happy to read. Yeah. This first poem is called Levee Wall, or State Propaganda Questionnaire. Have I seen a city turn on itself? Has a man ever held me in a crosshair? Was cruelty waiting at the end of my failed economy? Was economy a disease I carried out? Did I have enough money for the carcass at the end of my time? Was I sharpening a knife in my head? Did I vow never to cut my neighbors with it? Could I feel something inside me show its teeth? What if I liked the way you say burnt down, and the way the birds minded you above? What about a law that measures me when I break it, and the wind that reminds me where I am? What if I've never hurt the way I do now? And yeah, what if it clings to me at night? Do my dead weigh me down? Do my dead ground me? Will I know it when it matters? Will it matter more than it does now? Did I say if I recognized the faces in the picture they showed me? How did I stomach it, recognizing their faces? Uh, okay, and so this poem is too long, but I had a lot of feelings at the time. So this one is called Desire is a Federacy, which is a line from Monica de la Torre. It's the last line of her poem, How to Look at Mexican Highways. Desire is a Federacy of blood, of wilting or willpower, whippoorwills wanting like pulling a sword from deep in a bloomed lily. In any other life, would this have been possible? I mean, you leaping like the stag, about to turn into 100 sparrows, me holding on to you in case the fear alone keeps me from becoming sparrows. It didn't come with instructions. The sword, I mean, the police having killed anyone in a while is something you'd say only if you have peace of mind, which is to say, I don't. I'm terrified of the God my mother asks to protect me. What if I owe him? And when they unearth us, will the fear of debt be legible on our bones? I'm thankful for those moments I wake up before you. If the police kill me, I hope the last thing I accomplished is making your coffee because I like how my hands feel that early in the morning, incapable of harm, miming tender acts of weather like a lightning struck senator, believing that lightning strike would help my neighbors sunrise, sunflower, sunset. This is a day, if it looks like all the ones before, carrying us God knows where, at least the dogwoods will white and pink me perfect. Like arrows, some men only really see what they're about to kill. Leap high, my love, and know there's not enough guilt in Ecclesiastes to demand the hungry attempt grace in their hunger. And what would a king, blood-hemmed and sharp-sworded, know about starving, wanting the undaffodiled field? The sad mechanics of legislation can make, even out here with all our shirts in the clothesline, and our mothers up to their elbows in the wash tub. I've come with a petition no one wants to sign. Like more swords and lilies, thunderstorms in every quiet dream. You'll have to wake up just to wring your hair out, full of the sweet rain smell, luminous. As the lake I tend too deep in my shadow, where swans dip their throats and come up dreaming, all the leaves giving in to the wind at once, all the police dropping their handcuffs over the bridge, and for it raising the water ever so slightly, we become light ourselves. I define salvation as never having to explain debt to a toddler. Drag us there, call it home, drag us away from there, and you've learned something about this country. The Blue Kings burning an acre they could own. I keep their ash in my heart like an inheritance, the urn of me. The downside of not being a daisy patch is all the language I'm expected to remember, like a glimmer, as in a gun can glimmer, and inevitably, as in, I hope you'll forgive me. If I say I made a fool of myself today, inevitably I'll say the same thing tomorrow. Are you the fire I've read about? Haymaker of the heavens, and leaves so gold God gives, so God gives, so gold God leaves when it hits the water. How a miracle must be solved sonically, like a mother filling in her own cracks. Moss-kissed flower pot of a town I'm from, where the moon shines and the blackberries shine back. After the creek, the mud on our boots was always a kind of red I've never seen anywhere else. Ministry made of river rock and rehearsed attempts at dancing until I can say, here I am, feeling like a bird trapped in a chimney, some dark theater you could put your ear against. This is it. All the light. We'll get it this hour until you bite into the plum and the lantern of its inside bleeds. Turn on the radio. The news is talking about a cloud floating over us, a heavy golden guillotine. Far away from here, my friend was protesting the same thing we are now when he died, and the lilies in my kitchen opened. It was days before anyone told me. Have you ever crossed into the trees from the field? How the world changes all at once. How you can be inside something like that. The world, its interior, where horses run until they become the gray breath of themselves, and we run until we can't take any more breath. Like how museums can't take something as abstract as a month, or the shadow a ballerina on stage must consider when trying to accomplish a moment of symmetry for beauty's sake. Sometimes the fence is down and the cattle trample the garden. Sometimes it's a mercy to turn off the porch light and sit with gnats speckling the dark gold. Mercy. The interior of the world where the crickets let the moment the rain stops speak for itself, and then begin their shower of song, calling to each other the way the stars wish they could. Wherever you are, I'm here, under this goddamned indigo evening blanket, while the police radios go on unattended in empty kitchens. Okay, yeah, and last, last poem. It's I'll do new shit. Um, and this is pretty short. It's like a little cycle of Tonka verses. Light catches the rain. Little quartz flies glimmer in the summer web. All June and July. God's oyster shell eyes shine dagger blind bright. This barn is a blackbird making machine. It works all night, filling its heart hollow rooms with their beak-studded musical shadows. The sun was setting and we painted each other's faces before crossing county lines to watch our friend walk free, his wrists still red. Vultures are drifting like loose flags to a failed state. Everywhere, the eyes that will witness the end of empire are opening. History, the time between we built libraries and then burnt them down. He was called Nat Turner, and he was called Medgar Evers. River adjectives: sacred, muddy, turbulent, nearby, polluted, and ancient, yes, and lovely, dark, wild, and principal. Wherever you went, I hope someone held your hand as the wilderness, thick in some men's hearts, turned out to be made of other men. Thank you.
Oh my good Lord, CT. That was absolutely marvelous. Desire is a Confederacy, and that was CT Salazar, who you can find on Twitter at CT Salazar underscore, on Instagram at dogpaws, our best paws, on Blue Sky at ctsalazar.bsky.social. You can also find CT stuff on his website, ctsalazarpoet.com. And in the spirit of shouting out really good shit, CT wanted to shout out the Rosedale Freedom Project, which you can find out more about at Rosedale Freedom, ROSEDALEFREEDOM.org to support and to fundraise. Yeah, gosh, it is such an honor, CT, to know that about to know that your words are in this little thing that is traveling to people's mailboxes and stuff. It's a joy, a real joy. And as Jessica just asked in the chat, is that last poem in in print somewhere yet? And maybe it will be soon. So keep an ear to all those socials so you can hear about it first, because we all want to. Wow. All right. I'm excited to introduce our next reader who is following this up by video. So Zoe Mitchell is in the UK, and thereby it is quite late for Zoe. But Zoe is joining us with a video that I'm hopeful to get to work in a second. So I'm just going to quickly read Zoe's bio. Zoe Mitchell is a bookworm, unashamed nerd, and work in progress. Zoe's debut collection, Hag, published by Indigo Dreams Publishing, was the joint winner of the 2018 Indigo First Collection competition. Zoe is a widely published poet whose work has been featured in a number of magazines, including The Rialto, London Magazine, and The Moth, along with the Guardian Poem of the Week, which I thought was really cool. She graduated from the University of Chichester with an MA in creative writing and was awarded a distinction in the Kate Betts Memorial Prize. Her second collection, which you heard Beth mention earlier, Untold Fortunes, is due out in 2025 from our very own Animal Heart Press. So glad Zoe can join us. Forgive me for a bunch of buttons that I'm gonna have to press, and please yell via the chat if you cannot hear Zoe because I have screwed something up. So thanks for your patience. Da.
Hello, my name is Zoe Mitchell and I have a collection coming out with Animal Heart Press later on this year called Untold Fortunes. I'm really sorry that I couldn't join everyone on the Zoom today, but given the time zone difficulties, I must admit I will currently be tucked up in bed while you're enjoying all this fabulous poetry. I wanted to take part in this event, and so I have recorded a few poems from my upcoming collection. The first poem I'm going to read for you is one about a phase of the moon. The whole collection is divided into different phases of the moon, and this one I have chosen to read because it is the phase that the moon is in now. It's called Waning Gibbous. The night can sometimes form a blanket of soft light. Take off those boots, cancel your plans, and rest with a book. A reading light holds enough warmth. A ceramic teapot will pour the perfect cup every time. There's no need to feel guilty about any of your pleasures. The night may bring a ringing phone that pulls you away until you're sitting in a hospital waiting room with someone who isn't sick but does need attention. Even when you're hollowed out, you will keep answering those calls. Back home, the tea is long cold, but so many pages are waiting. The poems in my collection are loosely based around witchcraft and witches, but I also included in the collection both powerful women and villainous women. And one of the most villainous that I came across was the serial killer Beth Gordon, who got away with killing an awful lot of people. I saw some similarities between her and a woman who was considered to be a witch, Medea. This poem is called Making Medea, a recipe by Beth Gordon, murderess. Start with a world where men are in charge of everything, including a woman's value. Make that decorative. Make quiet devotion, gentle good looks, and the ability to bear children essential. You need to make more men to keep this cooking. If a woman doesn't measure up, ignore her. If she grows strong enough to help herself, laugh. Simmer this situation for years. If children disappear, don't stir the pot in case you end up having to feed them or ask where they came from. It's best not to know. You will find men may also disappear. Assume coincidence. You've already decided that men wouldn't go with a woman like that. At the last minute, you will see she had a recipe of her own. A bottle of poison, a hacksaw, a hammer, a pit. Set a fire and ask yourself if she died in the blaze or whether you hope she withstood the heat in the kitchen, slipped out and ascended towards the sun. This next poem is called Periwinkle. When he first gave me periwinkles, blue like my eyes, I saw an evergreen love, one that tasted like smoky lavender. We picked a pair of leaves from the same stem, cast a spell designed to last forever. We made a home and planted blue buttons all along the border. They remind me of the promise I made. My destiny served to me on those salver-shaped petals, those blooms that thrived among the narcissi. Under the blue bruise of a summer sky, those petals grew violet like his eyes, the colour of dusk gathering darkness when pink light sinks into heaven's palette and before night locks the door. Long trailing stems spread across the garden, choking out all other bulbed or leafy varieties. I know now that crushed leaf of periwinkle halts a bloody nose, the crimson of a split lip, any flow from a woman's body. This next poem is about a lady who claimed to be a witch and who until very recently lived in Dartmoor in the southwest of England in a very wild place. Here's Olga Hunt's broomstick. I was 18, camping with friends on Dartmoor. Exams behind us, we knew everything then, thought our vivid certainty would last forever. We sat around a fire, poked at poorly baked potatoes, persevered with cheap sweet wine until it tasted of our laughter. Night gathered us closer, and we shared stories suited to the shadows, seeking a reason to clasp a cold hand and cluster in pairs. One boy told the tale of the hound tore rocks, eyes bright swaggering as he recounted vicious dogs tooth by sharp tooth. Ripping through the fabric of the stories in darkness, a woman appeared among us. Her wry, wrinkled face displayed fathomless age, her eyes brimmed with ingenuity and mischief. She danced with a broomstick bridled across her shoulders, the husks of the brush tied on with coarse ribbons of bright colours. We were as still as the surrounding granite. She let out a cuckoo laugh and waltzed into the sinister black beyond the night sky, brandishing her broom at the moon. We each went to our separate tents after that. Now I have a job I'm good at. I wear suits and earn promotions. Each working day I am spat out by the hot mouth of the tube into a cool high-rise beetling with indifference. On a day like so many before and ahead, the memory comes back to me full tilt. The taste of bad wine and first kisses, intense connections, flames licking at the dark. Much else has faded, but I would still swear that as she left us, I saw Olga Hunt take a quick, nimble step over her broomstick and, quite impossibly, take flight. I believe that poetry is the closest that most mortals can get to magic, and so when I was working on this collection, I was keen to write a spell. This is a spell that I wrote for myself, but I also consider it a gift to anyone who needs it. This poem is called Spell for a Better Day. The shrill horror of the alarm clock, the stubbed toe, the toothpaste stain on your shirt, the smell of hot coffee breath from a man standing too close on the train, the routine delays, the bruised and already overripe banana, the bitter taste of a swallowed scream, the surprise deadlines, the spot forming on your chin, the number on the scales, your split ends, your split family, the hairline crack of pressure, the moment you had to smile through your tears, the way light fell on your face to spotlight all your flaws, the shadow of an angry moon. Wrap this day into a tight ball, swallow it with red wine at midnight. Keep it with all the other days, each one wrapped in a violet ribbon embroidered by silver needles in gold thread with the words, "Fuck you, I'm still here." Thank you for taking the time to listen to my poems. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and all the best to Tom for your truly beautiful collection.
All right. Can y'all hear me again? Is it working? Amazing. That was Zoe Mitchell. When I was listening to that recording and I got to the part you're thinking about, I was like, oh yeah, all right, let's have it happen. Yeah, love epic way to end, as Ben said in the chat. And I couldn't agree more. That again was Zoe Mitchell, who you can find on Instagram and X and stuff at Writing by Zoe. And again, Zoe's incredible book, Untold Fortunes, is going to be, I believe, Animal Heart's closing title for 2025, and it's such a cool book. I'm so glad to be pressmates with Zoe and glad that she could join us, even though hopefully she's sleeping right now. How, I mean, magic, right? Like to be able to read poems while sleeping. That's basically magic. So pretty cool. I am so excited as we get to this point to introduce our penultimate reader, who's also a marvelous editor, our last Animal Heart editor to read tonight, in Beth Gordon. And Beth Gordon is a poet, mother, and grandmother living in Asheville, North Carolina. She's the author of several chapbooks, including The Water Cycle from Variant Literature, How to Keep Things Alive from Split Rock Press, Crone from Louisiana Literature, and The First Day from Bell Point Press. Beth is managing editor of Feral, which you heard about when Amanda shouted out earlier, a journal of poetry and art, assistant editor of Animal Heart Press, and grandma of Femme Salve Books. Beth, it's been such an honor to work with you on A Letter from the Mountain, and I'm just so glad you're going to read your poems tonight. Take it away.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm in a very unenviable position to follow all those great poets and lead into Tom. So I will do my best. And as I was listening to people and talking about new shit, I thought, all right, I've got something that's less than a week old. This is I've been writing more crone poems. I'll just put it that way. And this one is called The Crone Loves. Absence is the wound that arrives from living too long. I am not bending the knee to the divine, no matter what form she chooses to take. Wolf spider, gravel road, coven of crows in the highest branch of the tallest tree. I know her ways. I know how my joints are beginning to rust. I refuse to light the holy incense, refuse to ask for guidance from something so powerful and cruel. No, I do not love my children. I do not love my parents. I do not love the way my grandson buries his car beneath the remains of a fire ant hill and memorizes the grave like a treasure map in his head. I do not love the way my granddaughter arrives home from school covered in donut sprinkles and pizza sauce and gold stars. No, I do not love the tiny loud wren who argues with the placement of the watering can so near her nest. I won't say it. I won't say I love anything in this vanishing world. I know her murderous ways. Dear goddess, you bitch, don't kill what I do not love. All right. Wait, where is it? So I'm going to read, this is from a long poem. I'm just going to read two parts of this poem. The poem is called Beatitudes, and it has 8 parts to coincide with the Beatitudes, and I'm going to read the first one and the last one. So this is part 1. Staring down the echoes, let me start over. Staring down the echoes of the abandoned wishing well, mirror in hand, reciting the names of forgotten constellations and half-remembered poisonous snakes, the names of women before us who were burned or battered or left as offerings when invaders stormed the town, boiling mud and myrrh to entice the past to join me here, to bring my 15-year-old self into the future she sees in her unhurried dreams, to tell her to abandon her fear, to open her eyes, the colors of acorns in October, to learn what he has to teach her about the ways of teeth and tongues, about the ways a man can be controlled. Oh, darling, you are as powerful as a wolf swollen with moonlight. There is nothing he can take from you. He has no magic, only desire. Do you see? I whisper into the fog of the looking glass. Do you see why it doesn't matter where or who. It only matters that the blessed deed is done. And then this is the last part of that long poem. Behind the car wash, hidden like a wish, you will find a sushi diner. You will recall a hidden graveyard, an abundance of daisies vibrating in the New Mexico breeze. The waitress will pat your hand while you cry. You are not special. She does this every day. The tabletop will be sticky, not with grease or disease. It will be sticky with the sorrow of a Thursday afternoon, the sorrow of winter's welcome end. You will believe you must order food, hot ginger tea. You must tip well. She will tell you that you can sit by the window for as long as you like. You will watch the sunlit dust float like unanchored halos in search of their angels. They will powder your face with dead skin and grace. Her smile cannot be recorded here in any meaningful way. You will try to compare it to the way your grandmother always put a $5 bill in your birthday card, the way it smelled of old talcum powder and new ghosts. Familiar customers will arrive with their familiar sorrows. She is needed elsewhere. She will hold open the door, remind you to cover your head, zip up your coat, to look around the table and make sure you are leaving nothing behind. When you step into the sharp sunshine, you will imagine you hear the circular trill of a wren. As you pen word to page, you will know that it was only the sigh of your muted desires. Your clean car will gleam like the frantic eyes of a magpie. You will put the key in the ignition, turn it like a question. Where have you gone, little bird? All right, I'm changing my mind again about the last thing I'm going to read. So, my last chapbook was The First Day by Bell Point Press. And it's a combination of prose poems and then some creative nonfiction. And each of the creative nonfiction pieces has a day of the week as a title. And so I'm gonna read the last one called Monday. I know I have no right to complain. I promise I do. I know that every second of my suffering is mostly self-inflicted. My audacity is slimy. My suffering, a tiny pea beneath 42 mattresses. I know I have no right to ask, but I don't want to do this anymore. Don't panic. I don't mean life. I mean my obsession with death. I cannot tell you what day it is or how many hours since I last spoke to you. It's a muddle of cherries at the bottom of the whiskey glass. Some days the world is a blue marble in my pocket. The world is a brisk sunstorm. The world is a jungle of honeysuckle. Those are the good days. The world is a backyard parade, sequins and glitter in the baby swimming pool. I know those days should be enough. I have no right to ask, but still I do. I ask you to remember me with something like regret. I remember that you changed cars like some people change shoes or lovers or time zones, midnight blue, fire engine red, hospital black, harvest moon maroon, all smelled of cigarettes and Red Bull, or cigarettes and green soap, or cigarettes and sex because we could not wait for the bed on the other side of the door. The last time we spoke was in your newest car. I entered like someone enters a house where they used to live. Shag carpet and neon orange wallpaper replaced in favor of something more elegant and sterile, nothing to do with desire. You smoked the whole time your cell phone was vibrating at 2:15 a.m. on a Monday. I still wonder what you told her. I still wonder if anyone will tell you when I die. Will they know what you know? That I want to be buried in your flannel shirt, the one we laid out between two redbud trees on a cold April morning, my oldest blue jeans, favorite boots. I wonder if you wrote our secrets on the back of your gas station receipt, burned it with the last match from that hotel bar. I wonder if you will charge my cell phone, tuck it in the torn pocket of that love worn shirt. Oh, please forget what I said. When our hearts were stripped to sinew and blood, when another good child left this wicked life far ahead of us. In the rearview mirror, you asked if I still love you. Call me. Ask me again. I'll answer from far below the field of yellow daisies. You'll know it's me because you won't believe a word. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to tear up. All right, now I get to introduce Tom. I'm going to read your bio, Tom, and then I'm going to say something because I don't think this bio captures you. But Tom Snarsky's newest book is A Letter from the Mountain and Other Poems, out today from Animal Heart Press. Tom is also the author of Threshold, Light Up Swan, Complete Sentences, and Reclaimed Water. His book, Mountebank, am I saying that right, Tom? Is forthcoming in 2026 from Broken Sleep Books. He lives in the mountains of northwestern Virginia with his wife, Christy, and their cats. Each editor at Animal Heart kind of took the lead on the three books. So Jude was the lead editor for Lauren's book and Amanda for Zoe's, and I had the great privilege of being the lead editor for Tom's book. And I knew Tom through his poetry and through his social media presence. And what I learned is what many of you already know about Tom, is that he is just one of the most generous, kindest human beings, just lovely to work with. And his generosity of spirit is something I mentioned at the beginning, and I think this gathering is a reflection of that. So it is just my great privilege and honor to introduce Tom and hear him read some of his work from this beautiful book. Thank you.
Oh man, Beth, what a beautiful introduction and what a beautiful reading. One brief snap round slash chat shout out for Beth, whose social media links I didn't get to read. Something in my heart just was like, this is wrong, but now I get to follow that beautiful introduction in these beautiful, beautiful readings. Thank you all so much for being here, for supporting Animal Heart and this book. It is really just like, I can't believe it's real still, and it's here, and I'm trying to understand that that's a real thing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And I want to start just by reading the book. I guess it's page, VII, because it's not even technically where, the main body of the text has started, but it's the dedication. It says, "For Christy, who brought me to the mountain." Christy is just over the other side of my computer screen, and we'll hear all this, and can offer notes if she wants a little bit later. For Christy, by the way. Yeah, all right, grab the thumbs up. We're good. We can proceed. I'm going to read the first poem in the book, which is the poem before A Letter from the Mountain. It's called Sturgeon Moon. And the Sturgeon Moon, I'm not as timely as Zoe was. The Sturgeon Moon won't happen until August, but now you can look forward to it. In the normie yarrow of waking life, my body is an industry secret. How do you guard what you don't know? The flowers trying to get us out of the 80s safely, like REM, from green to out of time. And you might hear Basil offering me live notes. I'm going to pick up Basil because he's very sweet and very old, and he wants to read as well. So he gets to read as well. Um, cool. So A Letter from the Mountain is the title poem for this book, and it's way too long to inflict on you at what for me is 10:15 and what for Jude is 3:15, I think. So we're not going to read the whole thing, but definitely going to read part of it. And I have read a little bit of it in other places before, and my only goal for tonight is to read just like a little bit more than I've ever read out loud before. So this is A Letter from the Mountain. It has a an epigraph. Like Jude, I don't often do epigraphs, but this one I couldn't get rid of. It says, "He looked in a glass of the earth and thought he lived in it." From Wallace Stevens. A Letter from the Mountain. 1. My first thought was I'd write down every bird who came through here without an injury or other stated reason not to stop a winter's feeling sorry for oneself flowered into singing by the spring. If a painter, cloven to ideas instead of color, wrote out detailed names for all her sketches, you'd probably see that work as separate from the main thing, canvases on which a razor taught regret to oil. As borer bees eventually destroy the barns or buildings they maneuver through en route to copulation or to death, or both, I hope you can forgive me for the wet eyes and shaky hands I brought to our life, which would/could have been so much easier if I'd made choices or money differently or more often. Every fall has started owing summer time and a half for covering September. The pond is low and leafless into October. Some years you can still see Halloween koi. This great American inventor I know, he works at the local hardware store and is surrounded all day by broken lamps. It's 50 cents for a really small fuse, 5 amps or 120 volts, though like most things you can still get for short money, I harbor doubt it's all you'll need to fix the light you brought in hoping for a miracle. The painter Agnes Martin was her own most difficult critic, cutting painting after painting up or having someone else cut them up for her if they didn't succeed in expressing innocence, her word. Like William Blake karaoke, half of how the most of us have deigned to live. Although, hold on, it's not like I mean to say there's anything wrong with that vision, that hope for one's body of work. I just already have this big bouquet of wrongs I've foisted from the earth and watered well, a whole entire Harold orchid room with more rope than any flower could need. But sun comes, and with it an improvised greeting we should have practiced beforehand, like our signatures in limited space or a play with more than one speaking role. The gradient of soil from clay to black at first may seem like not the most thrilling spectrum, from reddish brown to the total of all colors, or is it pure absence of color? But when it is the difference between a fresh dug pond filling up with actual water or not, suddenly it starts to make sense of how people care about the tiniest variations between things. The clarinets entering a few thousandths of a second later becoming synonymous with ruin or innovation. The maple tree has a winged fruit called a samara, which I didn't know. But of course, once I saw one online, I knew the fruit behind the name. A whirlybird. One down, a multitude to go. Do you think Spinoza ever used a lens to look directly into the sun before it was known exactly what that does to you? I say before like it wasn't known the sun can hurt your eyes, clown emoji, but there's something to be said for how the ways we know we harm ourselves have increased manifold. Dandelions by chances strewn and further chances set in soil rich with nitrogen and potassium and low in phosphorus, with poor decay of organic matter. A frog jumps straight into the pond as I approach. I hear Yahya Hassan, quote, criminals can harbor literary qualities, end quote, as the frog steals underneath the ripples. My prolonged study of frogs is out of hope I'll learn from them how to make a life defined by a surface, be unafraid to breathe on either side. At the very longest last, we have reached the 86th line. 1986, the year on the plurality of worlds appears. Ashbury's, quote, a winding staircase with greenish light, end quote, perhaps incredulous too, I don't know. I always reach for books when I'm afraid of saying something true. Like, quote, I will probably not be enough in the black to cover our local tax bills this year, end quote. Our household monthly budget feels a bit like the flat penny Godspeed You Black Emperor included in some F sharp, A sharp infinity pressings squashed on a railroad track in Canada somewhere. The penny, not the record. I'm a life insurance proof of concept walking around in my tragedy clothes. It's spring and the grass is already long enough to start poking up through the stone in a few spots, small green Excaliburs. I think you need to know there is a thing I hope I'm building you toward, but it's not a sword or even like one. A gun's a decent guess for what you hear a shoebill doing with its beak, with which it also eats. The Orchid King, Henry Frederick Conrad Sander, had a son-in-law called Henry Moon. They did a big book together, but it was a terrible process because Henry the Elder was a businessman and Henry the Younger was a, quote, strong-willed artist, end quote, Wikipedia, who painted orchids till the day he died at 48. He framed his work himself, a European house wren building nest after blank nest to cradle the future. Do you think you have already suffered the worst pain you will know in your life, or is it yet to come? What part of the great tide of despair are you riding, the ebb or the flow? Cattle, naked mole rats laugh at our fragility. The Amazon is at a breaking point or past it, tweet number 913 of my day declares, and in reply I post a poem by Lynn Haginian about angels. The American criterion for truth is pragmatisms. A thing is true if it is useful, if it works. My best friend Scott's disability checks from the Army take forever to get approved to start arriving, and the first one with back pay gets sent to an account number that doesn't exist. They tell him not to worry. In a drought summer, the river gets low, too rocky to safely canoe. The first time I said I love you to you was in French after not sure how many drinks, and my cheeks were on fire with the word love. Two Mark Twain tomatoes trespassing on the Cherokee purple vine my heart clung to as it grew out toward you and sky. It's really hard to talk about that part, the learning love again post-pain. Cliché has creeping tendrils, won't let memory alone, and healing is so slow that verse uniquely fails as vessel for its flow. You can just listen or read the next line without doubting you'll continue at all. This fall, I'm hoping to have firewood cut a little bit before the leaves are down. Not all the wood, nor all the leaves. A start to make October feel a little less like work. Maybe by then I'll be less worried about money, less overdue on everything, less constitutional, more situational in my weakness. By February, one debt will be paid in full. If I forget for a second how many other ones we have, how the interest accrues like plaque or loneliness, I can feel a brief flicker of progress. The sage is coming in nicely in its barrel, furred like the bees who half visit on their way to the flowers, who don't owe anybody anything but color and sweet scent. Pollen, which they give freely, is not debt because it doesn't promise any destination, puts nothing in writing. The policy at the hardware store where the inventor works is you can bring in guns so long as the action is open and you've kept the ammo separate. The baby rabbit who lost part of his face to a lawnmower is improving. It's scabbed up and he can drink on his own. Food is still a dropper situation, but the wildlife rescue people are, quote, cautiously optimistic, end of quote. The other day I learned how if you drink water that's like manufacturing pure, it will start to drink you back. Leach salt and electrolytes from your saliva since the polar water molecules don't have anything else around to latch onto. It would probably also taste bad, since our metric for good tasting water is how closely it can match up with your spit. They're doing a limited pressing of my mom's new record on pink vinyl. The coastal flooding in Massachusetts is on track with a sea level rise of 2 feet by 2050, meaning the hurricane barrier in New Bedford would need to be closed once or twice a day to keep pace, which is impossible for a working port to sustain. Fall River, home of Precise Packaging LLC, will be on the receiving end of 2 handheld chemical detection units so its fire department can respond more quickly to hazardous waste events, all part of an EPA settlement because Precise Packaging LLC was out of compliance and would have stayed that way because it's cheaper not to train the people who handle hazardous waste. The bottom line sees all trash as just trash. When we mixed the wallpaper glue ourselves, it was laughable how much extra we had. I laid it on really thick with the insurance people on the phone, tried my best to save a few dollars a month, but still ensure it'd be a cool million if unexpectedly I pass away. Earlier this morning, I was trying to remember that line where I left off, but I kept thinking, unfortunately, instead, a whole prescriptive, descriptive scrimmage there. I'm looking for Mother's Day poems to post and haven't found one that feels right. In another compositional update, I finally gave up trying to make the lines all fit on my phone screen without spilling over, which the giant two-syllable word scrimmage forced my hand on, but I think it's better for the poem anyway. I don't know what the plastic funnel things are called we put at the base of the downspouts, but it's fun to pick them up and hope you might see a snail or toad or an albino cockroach like you called me over to see once. As it turns out, the white color just meant it had molted recently. So maybe later, that same April when I was lying down in the barn attic trying to reach those wasp nests and a bunch of roaches crawled on my legs, maybe one of them was the same little guy, only hardened and darkened by time. Sometimes being alive feels most like that turn of the 18th century French priest who spent most of his short life fostering devotion to Jesus through Mary. Saint Louis Marie Grignon de Montfort wrote, God the Father made an assemblage of all the waters, and he named it the sea, Mer. He has made an assemblage of all his graces, and he has called it Marie, Maria. Marian devotions are a great excuse for poetry when you're sad and young and think that God might know your heart's big secret. That's a good place to stop, I think. There you go. Um, yeah, I'm taking a little bit longer than I thought, but I'm gonna read one more poem to close tonight. This is from later in the book. It's called Untitled, and yeah, I just want to end on a slightly, I don't know what kind of note this will be. Yeah, if it never ended, that would be okay. I agree. Untitled. I was making one last serious attempt at my hands, the palms bruised and caked with dirt after trying to get well water up through our overfine filter, which is like the opposite of an hourglass, the way it contained itself and swirled against gravity. I think the biggest con is thinking there's only one big love in one's life, and like a wave, you either catch it or you don't. And then in the former case, one should be celebrated, and in the latter, pitied or made tragic. What am I doing? I'm dancing like a march idea, like Chopin, for whom dance was one of the languages, like mathematics or love, both flattering instances of Polish culture when you think of our record in war. There is so much anti-trans stuff on social media right now, I am kind of lost. Alfred Tarski writes, you will not find in semantics any remedy for decayed teeth or illusions of grandeur or class conflicts. Nor is semantics a device for establishing that everyone except the speaker and his friends is speaking nonsense. The deer don't say anything, and the birds are wrong loudly. Jack Spicer, who studied semantics among other things, quote, they said he was 19. He had been kissed so many times, his face was frozen closed, end quote. Like a topological set or a Massachusetts liquor store on Sunday. The aura is like rock bottom of a gift bag meets 10 flowers all dried out because we have no water, though they probably would have taken the dirty water just fine. Boston, you're not home. Jack at the BPL Rare Book Room, shuffling a series of circumstances into place that will make possible after Lorca and really all of the books in the collected books, which doesn't look back at any of the one-night stands, has a healthy sense of shame that way. Like a shy bullet would rather stay in its casing than visit the brain of a heart. I did have one love, and then I had another and another. Rainstorms rolling over the mountain and through the river valley, bright fog burning off for the dew to shine.